Welcome. We're glad you joined in the early morning. Yeah, this is already our fifth roundtable. And as you know, or some of you may know who joined before, we are kind of following a little bit of a storyline here that is aligning with our strategy. And today, everything is going into institutionalization. And I'm very excited to talk with you about, yeah, how's the relationship with other NGOs, how's the relationship with the government, with the OPM, all those things we kind of want to touch a little bit deeper on in order to get to standardization and approach some issues that might come up when we want to align all the GROs that are already existing out there. This is a little screenshot from the last roundtable that was on the 2nd of May. And if you want to read up on the documentation that we had for this roundtable, then you can just scan the QR code. And otherwise, it's also to find on our website. We talked about alignment during that roundtable. So how are we going to align the ideas that are out there it was all about synergies, basically, but we'll get a little bit deeper into that now and kind of recap in order to set the tone for what's coming today. So the overall question, I touched a little bit on it, is institutionalization. And it's basically about how to bring about training and capacity building models and policy advocacy for regenerative agriculture in displacement settings. Because training and capacity building oftentimes also quite hugely depends on the government and what their formalities are. And that's why we think institutionalization is a huge part of how to standardize the idea of regenerative agriculture in displacement settings. And we have a little agenda. We just want to briefly introduce ourselves because we're a small group today, but that just gives us a little bit more on what are we working on, and we can do a little bit more or focus a little bit more on this group work. But before we dive into that, we're going to take a quick look at the roundtable objectives, then at our strategy. And one part of the strategy, as I said, is the standardization component, and we will give a little intro on scaling. That's what we did in our strategy already and that we tackled upon in the last few roundtables. Then an intro into standardization, and then we'll get into some breakout groups to discuss two questions we found quite interesting for the institutionalization approach. Tina, would you like to continue?
Yes, thank you. So this is a series of roundtables to which we welcome you, and the next one is in November. So please save the date already. You see here the registration code, and we will also publish the information on our website, genr.world, where we will, just continue our discussions. So please save the date of the 14th of November. And now let's go to an introduction round with your name, your organization, and why you are interested in general in the topic of regenerative work and methods in refugee camps and settlements, and also in the topic of institutionalization. Yes, who would like to start?
Let me start.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm Francis Lumbuye from Nature and Creativity for the Future Generation, NCFG. It is an NGO, a local NGO working in central Uganda, PG district. So we are involved in organic agriculture, and we are majoring in seed production and fertilizer making. We are putting emphasis on that because we want to reduce the chemicals in our soil. So I'm interested in this topic, and I think we have a lot to share when we start the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Francis. Winnie, would you like to continue?
Hello, everyone. I'm Winnie Chave. I work with Youth Initiative for Community Empowerment. We were working in Nachiva Refugee Settlement, and so to Movende District, where we started from. We are into regenerative farming because we have identified that soils have been depleted several times, and nature is almost giving up on us. Anytime nature is against us, so we are doing what we want, but it's also calling upon us. That's why we chose to go regenerative. We are rebuilding soils. We are helping refugees farmers in Nashi Valley to set up, because they are given small pieces of land, so we are helping them to rebuild those soils, to make simple gardens on vegetable growing and planting some trees, because most of the times we have identified that in Uganda, all places that are given to refugees, they are these bare, they are flat, they are bare, and they are almost worn out. So we want to revive that situation. In simple terms, why we are choosing regenerative is because when we look back, when I was still a child, I was looking at seeing green everywhere, seeing trees. We could go in the forests, pick fruits free of charge, but now everything is being sold. So we want to rebuild that trend. We want our children to at least witness some of these things. We are planting fruit trees. And yeah, I'm also interested in this topic because much I need to learn and implement in the places of work. Thank you.
Thank you, Winnie. Julia?
Hi, everyone. My name is Julia, and I'm part of Generation Restoration, and I'm very interested in holistic solutions, how we can help people to be self-sufficient again. I experience that myself often, that I have the feeling we unlearned a lot of very important skills about food, about connection to other people, and also about restoring the land. And that's what I really like about permaculture, because it offers solution how we can be more in connection with nature again, and yeah, help ourselves out a bit. I went to Costa Rica this year to also learn a bit more about tropical environments, because our situation is a bit different here, and I had the feeling I want to learn more about soils in the tropics. And I also have some kind of experience with capacity building projects. I work together with a community in Indonesia, which is focused on sustainable rubber cultivation and forest protection there. So there comes a bit of experience in with that, working with communities. And I'm very excited to meet you, Francis, Vinny, and James, because we haven't met before. And yeah, I'm excited to hear about your experiences in Uganda.
Thank you, Julia. James?
Hello, everybody. My name is James, but this is my first week. Also, a master student studying tropical forestry and field testing. What's more important to me about this entire roundtable meeting is that I want to be able to understand what restoration, the benefits, restoration of the ecosystem for the people as well, especially for vulnerable people like people living in refugee camps, and more particularly how it can be scaled and sustained for long periods, not just a one-time thing. I think I understand that restoring the ecosystem isn't just about one particular thing. It's a collective effort to ensure that we work and to do right to it. So yes, I'm hoping to from all of you so much here.
Thank you, James. Celia, you want to go on? We haven't introduced ourselves yet.
Sure. But the participants first. Yes, my name is Celia. I'm the co-CEO and co-founder of Generation Restoration. Yeah, I do organize the roundtables together with Tina. We both try to develop the organization and kind of try to strategically think about what the overall vision is and how to approach it. The roundtables are a huge column that contributes to how we think about generation restoration and get your insights mainly also to advance. And I really appreciate that. Why am I interested in institutionalization? I have a little background in international affairs, and I do consider international organizations and the workings within those institutions as first step to get to basically to get all those actors that are on the ground together. Because when there's a policy from above, that obviously the bottom-up way has to push towards then it will be recognized by international actors. And especially with the climate issue that is a global issue and not a national one, we need to work together in IOs. One of the ways on how to advance and make our voices heard. Tina.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Tina, founder of Generation Restoration and also a member of the board with Celia and Jupp. And we are, we are really working hard for the vision to restore hope and regenerate soil, souls, and society, especially in and around refugee camps and settlements, because we believe that the ecosystem restoration benefit can also benefit the people and vice versa. So the question is how these beneficial elements can be, how we can learn from each other to also bring them to other settings and circumstances. And this is also the question for today, I think. If we want to scale regenerative methodologies and work, we have to work with institutions, with NGOs, with governmental bodies, with grassroots organizations to bring them all together. And this is also the goal for the roundtables, that we really listen to each other, learn from each other, and see how we can scale the positive examples. And this is why I'm very keen to hear from you. And I just saw that Yannick Buffol joined our round. So we are just in the middle of the introduction round. Yannick, if you want to say some words. I don't know if you can hear us already, Basil Buffol. If not, you can also introduce yourself later or now, if you want.
Hello?
Yeah, we
Yes.
can.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for presenting myself. I'm Fazil Bifol Yannick, founder of Masoka Nutrition for Development, or MANUD. Yeah.
And you are joining from Uganda Nakivale refugee settlement, right? Okay, we can't hear you now, Yannick. Maybe the network is poor. But whenever you can hear us again, just give us a sign.
Yes, the network, yes. Okay, the network, it was disturbing, but yes, we are located, yes, we are located in Nakivale refugee settlement in Uganda, Isingiro district.
Glad that you're to join.
So I think when other participants join later, we can also include them in the introduction round and now talk about the roundtable objectives.
Yes, so as I said previously, we want to focus on the institutionalization within standardization, because those actors are needed in order to move forward within a standardization approach of all those ideas that are already existing out there. And basically, within this roundtable, we want to explore pathways for the scaling of impactful GRO initiatives. And we want to support institutionalization, the legal, organizational, and financial formalization of GROs, and want to strengthen internal and external alignment of GROs with the clarity around the purpose of it, the governance and partnership strategies. And within the support that we seek from institutionalization, we can also frame ourselves more towards the legal prerequisites, the organizational prerequisites, and the financial prerequisites. So it's difficult to grasp what an institutionalization will exactly be for us, but we can kind of endeavor what might be the steps to move towards it. And then what we need to do is to think what the institution will likely do. This is not a pre-given thing, but yes, that's what we want to aim for today, to think about these questions. And we have two specific ones in our breakout groups, and we will set up two documents which you can work on until our next roundtable. And there we will collect all the ideas also for the ones who are looking at this video a little bit later on. So let's dive first into our strategy. Tina.
Yes, thank you. So when we talk about regenerative methods in refugee camps and settlements, we started with dialogues some years ago already on how can we scale these good examples, these projects, and make it kind of the new normal in the design of camps and settlements. And so there were three main, let's say, pillars that came out in the discussions when we practiced deep listening with practitioners, with NGOs, with scientists, and so on. And one was that when we first see the problems, we can then also see how we can solve them and get impact on it, and what is the strategy to get there. So the problem, one of the problems was that regenerative projects in refugee camps are small, unknown, and unfinanced. And so the goal was to say, okay, let's start regenerative learning spaces that are established in and around every camp. So this would be the ultimate impact. And for that, the strategy is to scale positive examples, to finance them, to give them visibility for the field projects. And so we follow here the input, output, outcome, impact model, IOOI, for impact strategies, to see, okay, what does it take for us to give in, to invest, and in order to get the impact out of it. So in order to scale the positive examples, it needs fundraising, communication, dialogues, so that donations can be raised, and platforms on social media can give visibility, and so that the projects can learn from each other, get recognition and growth. Same goes for the second part of the problems, but also the impacts and the strategy we can go to. So key players in the humanitarian aid sector have not yet implemented regenerative solutions. But the goal would be that regenerative design, on the other hand, is considered and implemented in every camp. How can we do this? So the strategy part would be to say, okay, let's renew standards, go into dialogue processes and guidelines with organizations. And the third row you see here addresses the problem that many investors want to finance meaningful projects, the so-called impact investors, but they do not see business cases for regenerative projects yet. So the impact goal is that investors' money can continuously be reinvested in regenerative structures. And for that, we develop investment opportunities together with grassroots organizations, like, for example, biochar production, mushroom production, and others, to promote viable business models. And bring investors and projects together, so that every, may it be dollar, euro, or Ugandan shilling, can be invested effectively to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. And on this pathway of this strategy, in our roundtables, we mainly focus on the middle row here, to renew standards. So going into dialogue and see how can we develop together standards, guidelines, and come to an institutionalization of regenerative methods. Yes.
Okay, then let's get into the scaling. Oops. We did approach the first box of scaling of our strategy in the first two roundtables, I'd say. And we did identify some key findings that are relevant for impact assessment and scaling. So we looked at impact assessment and scaling as one of the things that really need to be thought about. And I will just quickly go over them in order that you get an understanding what key findings in scaling positive examples could mean. So first of all, within this working group, it has been said there is a lack of context-specific impact assessment metrics. Secondly, barriers to data collection and sharing. Thirdly, short-term project timelines. The fourth issue was that community-based organizations like GROs need capacity building and an organizational structure. And fifth was that there is a high personal benefit expectation from the beneficiaries, which might not lead up to achieving the overall project goal. So it's then really focused on the beneficiaries themselves rather than the overarching goal. And then six is that sometimes the feedback from surveys and work is not shared back to stakeholders for improvement. So 6 really means communication is key. The second working group was on seed production and conservation, and I will just also go over the key findings here. So first of all, it has been said Uganda lost nearly 40% of its traditional seed varieties. And if you want to know more about seeds, Francis is here, our professional. Secondly, hybrid seeds are GMO related and fast growing, but production drops in the next season. Thirdly, climate change leads to increased pests that imported hybrid seeds are susceptible to. The fourth one, high dependency on food aid and minimal awareness of local seeds infringe upon usage. Fifth one, insecurity and displacement lead to minimal access towards local seeds. The sixth point, commercial seed market is inaccessible, also because of high costs. The seventh point, many farmers rely on seeds provided by NGOs, so they're already seeing one of the connections. Eighth, seed saving practices are not widely adopted. 9, it is possible to scale seed production conservation, so there are examples. It is possible, but it requires the right support, training, and infrastructure. And then 10, small-scale seed conservation can be found in the following examples. So this was on scaling. Also for financing, impact assessment is a really huge factor in order to provide financing to see the results of a project versus seed production as one of the key elements in growing things and reducing dependency. And then, as Tina said, the following roundtables, as of the second one, approximately have been focusing on renewing standards. And we basically dissected this renewing of standards into a little pathway that we're following with the roundtables right now. And as I said in the beginning, the last one was on alignment. We defined alignment as ensuring that all stakeholders, including donors, organizations, and communities, share a unified vision for the implementation and sustainability of regenerative practices. So this is all about values. It is about community-based organizations. It is about goals. And it is about the coordination of resources, whether this is financially or technical or a logistical alignment of resources. And now we're finding ourselves in August. Institutionalization we have defined as that it is involving the embedding of practices and structures into formal systems, so that we can ensure sustainability and long-term support. Key components are that we need to remain the refugees and GROs, community-based organizations, in leadership. So institutionalization is there to support, and that they're still managing on their own. Also that collaborative models for cross-organization are leading to capacity building, that we strengthen the partnerships and shared resources, that there is institutional partnership for funding and the scaling up, and that long-term funding partnerships and collaborations with institutional donors can be built up, because institutions always need like kind of a basis in order to be able to fund specific endeavors. And then likely in November, we will talk about standardization as a whole, as a uniform practice with protocols, principles that can be shared across different camps or communities. The key components, co-developing practical context-appropriate standards, because also from refugee camp to refugee camp, the context might be different. Also the workways with local communities, there will also be flowing in some of the institutionalization results that we're having today, that the models can be scalable. That then relates back to what we have talked a little bit about in the scaling approaches with the seed conversation and the impact assessment. And as I said, that it can be applied on a larger scale, also with specific monitoring and evaluation frameworks, and that we might have clear metrics. So to talk a little bit about this first component of the standardization approach, that first column of alignment that we talked about in May, I will just give a little bit of an introduction of what we discovered as challenges and solutions. The challenges within internal alignment were limited understanding of regenerative agriculture among refugees, high expectations for short-term results, lack of ownership and involvement from the start, and also limited space for composting and organic fertilizer production. Solutions to make internal alignment more coherent were established demo sites to show before and after success stories, use diverse communication tools like TikTok to reach different audiences, create local learning centers to revive traditional sustainable farming knowledge, and organize farmer cooperatives for seed saving and knowledge exchange. And then towards the external alignment, 2 challenges were identified. Short-term funding cycles hinder long-term regenerative processes. Many of the funders have a short-term cycle, and then basically they see the results, and nothing is driven still forward, although the GRO might need this help. This is not about taking over or managing, but we want to all that GROs are basically independent, but sometimes there is the need for further support. Impact assessments often don't reflect local realities. That is also why we were approaching impact assessment in the scaling roundtable, because we can't provide impact assessment from the outside. It needs to be thought through with the partners in the country. Solutions were to develop community-specific localized impact metrics for specifically this impact assessment issue, to involve donors from the start and treat them as long-term partners. Increase visibility through targeted outreach and communication. That is also where we as Gen R are providing support, and also include host communities to demonstrate wider social and regional benefits. This is then a small external alignment that we were also talking about. And I think now it's time for a group picture.
Yes, because in the next phase, we want to go with you in breakout rooms to discuss 2 questions that we will introduce to you in a second. But before that, we would like to do a group picture in order to, have a memorable moment for us, and also to share it with the broader community of those who will join the next roundtable. So if you want, we invite you to turn on your cameras. And I'll have to see how I can.
Yes, it.
Yes, perfect. Thea, can you stop the presentation for a moment so that I can see everybody? Yes, that's perfect. Okay, so good to see all of you. And
Yes.
we do the picture now. Yes, I have you all. Thank you so much. And yes, good to have you here, because we want to discuss, as I said, 2 different questions of institutionalization in the next phase of this meeting. Yes. So what we would like to do is to discuss in thematic breakout sessions. In the first breakout group, it will be about collaboration with international organizations and non-governmental organizations from a perspective of grassroots organizations. And the second one is about collaboration with governmental bodies. Yeah, I mean, in the preparation of the roundtable, we have had many registrations, but I also saw that some of them would join us from time zones that are still sleeping. And others also couldn't make it today. So we are not so many participants today, and I'm wondering if we really split up in breakout groups now, or if we should discuss the 2 questions just now with all of those who are here, which I would suggest right now. Thea, what are you saying? Yes.
I would also advocate for that. So we can basically share the working group documents that we prepared, and maybe start with question 1. We need to start with 1 question.
Yes.
Then turn to question 2 and give it about the same time, depending on what needs to be discussed.
Yes. So we would like to collect points with you, just in an open discussion, in order to identify intersections and friction points between grassroots and institutional models. So when it comes, for example, to training and capacity building models for scaling with grassroots organizations, what are the issues that you see? What is the status quo, also the problems, but also what works well when it comes to the collaboration of NGOs and international organizations. So whatever seems important to you, we would like to hear from you now, and microphones are open. I can also repeat the questions, or you can raise your hands, just start talking. So the main question would be when it comes to the collaboration of different organizations, so international organizations, non-governmental organizations, grassroots organizations. What do you see as current challenges, and what does work well in these collaborations? Yes, Paulinho, welcome.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. So I think the most challenging parts of this is sometimes international organization give, for example, a plan that you need to follow during the, for example, a grant period, and the package of the key points that apart from financial support, so there are extra support that they need to give out, for example, mentoring, for example, assessing in terms of developing a monitoring evaluation. But also, for example, in terms of developing a system approach in terms of tracking finance. But unfortunately, based on the last experience, so most of things that the international organization promise, so after releasing the funds, so there is no follow-up based on the actual agreement. And we are going to realize that, so when it reaches the time for reports, and for example, also to financial verification, so there is a lot of requirements that has been unexpected that you are going to receive from them, which was not part of the grants agreement. And they told you need to make sure that you provide all this in case, for example, you want to get your next installment of funds. And this gave people if you were not well prepared with all the requirement in terms of keeping them, so you are going to realize that this gives you a headache because you'll be working under pressure in terms of respecting the current strategy that they come up with to make sure that the project implementation is not affected, but also gets earlier the funds in order to keep up with the activities. So these are challenges that I've seen in terms of working with international organization.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a question about that, Paulinho?
Sure, Julia.
Do you have the feeling like you as a community, you're not really involved in putting in place those measurement, how to measure impact? So do you have the feeling that organization just do the designs for impact assessment and you have to fulfill them? Or is it like you can really suggest also things how to measure the impact of the project?
So at the beginning or initially, when you submit an application, so you need to make sure that there is some impact measurement that you are being able to set up. But they're going to say, so this is not enough. So you need to make sure that you respect our own approach on how we want to see the projects impact the community. And this is when the challenge comes. Because so there will be quite a big difference in terms of what you have set up initially versus the one that they will come up with. And this is not in collaboration. So it is not a discussion that you're gonna have, but they will design their own monitoring and evaluation based on what you have said, and then, okay, you need to follow this. Yeah.
Does it feel like you don't feel respected in that moment then also, because you know best about the area? So
I feel like there is no collaboration in this town because they're kind of dictating you what to do. And of course, they are putting you under pressure because this will you are likely to, so the project is is likely to fail. For example, I remember in order to, again, put everything in place as supposed to be, it took 2 months of working every day to make sure that we revise all the impact measurements that we set up. And we hold on other activities. But the most important, the good things is that we had some reserve funds that we had to make sure that some major activity keep on going as we are working on this. So, and we are going to realize that it was really a tough time, because so if they could tell us before, so this couldn't be an issue. We could revise directly the documents and adjust it based on what they are looking for.
So it's somehow a little bit unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, thank you for the clarification.
I have a follow-up question to that. What you say, Pauline, that it depends on the size of the organization that you're applying towards, or that you're putting a funding proposal towards.
Yes, I think this also depends on the size of the organization that you are collaborating with, but also their mission as well. I will say that.
And so to also understand,
so what you say,
the
more
issues,
putting you under pressure, impact assessment, and is more. Sorry, was I cut off, or?
One of us had a little.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But go ahead, Celia.
No, I just wanted to ask whether Pauline thinks that the larger organizations are more keen on, as I may repeat your words, dictating, not collaborating on impact assessment and putting you under pressure, or would you say it's more the smaller ones?
Sorry, Celia, can you repeat the question?
You just said that there's a difference between organizations within their size, like the collaboration with you on impact assessment and the degree of dictating. And I was just wondering whether this is more the larger organization or the smaller ones that are, in your words, more keen on dictating.
So I think it's about the most especially the big organization. Well, I've realized that they have their standard model of working, and when you are a young organization, so I would say on behalf of refugee organization, so most of refugee-led organization, there are so many things that they need to learn, and most of things are not well prepared in a way that meet the standard of this big organization. So, of course, they put different extra support that they need to put aside the financial one, but they really don't follow up after the fund disbursement until the day of the report. So for you, you may think that, okay, it's fine. The way that we have been working is the way that we agree to work. So this is the way that we will continue until the end of our project. Unfortunately, so things change in a way that it was not unexpected and without any communication ahead.
Thank you.
So, Francis, you raised your hand?
Yes. I wanted to add on what the previous presenter was saying. You will find that most of our organizations lack some skills. For instance, in monitoring and evaluation. And you find that when you get a grant and you do the work, you find that the work is there, but those skills, how to assess the impact, fail you. And yet, the donor expects you to know that. I think that's where the challenge comes in. And I think the solution is to have some training before the grant is given. At least somebody knows what to do or what is expected to be answering. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. That's also very valuable because, yeah, the question is what is needed to better or best collaborate between international organizations and NGOs and grassroots organizations. So one thing you mentioned is training for monitoring and evaluation. Yeah. Any other points you want to add?
Can I add?
Yes. So besides the training and of the monitoring?
Yeah. Monitoring and evaluation, also leadership skills. You find that NGOs from developed countries, they have a standard which is not on our side in the developing countries. Because here, to start an NGO, you don't need any skill. You have an idea, then you start an NGO and you start operating it. So you find that there are some gaps which are lacking in running that organization. So even leadership skills are still missing a bit. Yes.
Also, what would be interesting to talk about is when it comes, for example, to the monitoring and evaluation, what is really helping the GROs, the grassroots organizations, in their projects to monitor for them, also their own success? And what are, for example, indicators or things that you have experienced to be important for the international organizations, but does not seem so relevant for you and your projects? So maybe you can share experiences about that. Which points of impact assessment or monitoring has been relevant to you and to the donors or international organizations, and which ones haven't been so relevant to you or didn't seem relevant until they came up with it? Winnie, you might want to share about this.
Hello, yes, Tina. About before I say something else about the trainings, I was also looking at documentation because there are some small organizations, yes, work is on ground, but the way of presenting their work fails them at a certain point, and the funder, most of the funders do not come on the ground. So sometimes they might fail to present ourselves very well so that maybe we can even go on with another funding And we have those few experienced people who sometimes do not have even work on ground, but they know documentation and how to write how is it and they said. So I think as we think of the trainings, also the how to write those built up with.
Okay, so network interrupted a bit in the end, but I think the main point of Winnie's saying was that the documentation skills, or also the importance of documentation, adds up to this sometimes gap of communication between the GROs and the international organizations, and that you have to document the success of the project. Thank you, Winnie. We also would like to raise the question, what is already working well? What should be in the relationships you have or had with international organizations and grassroots organizations? What did work well so far that you would like to continue or see also in future projects that you share? Because sometimes we really focus on the problems and forget about to actually tell each other what we appreciate and what's good in the relationship. So what is it that works well and should be thought of in new collaborations? Paulinho.
Yeah, I think what works well is the visibility, and also this trusts that you build regarding other organizations that will want to work with you in the future. For example, when UNIDOS is currently working with GenR, so this endorses a like a token of trust regarding our local organization here, because other people will say, oh, so if there is a collaboration and work ongoing, mean that these are trusted people that we can work with, and visibility as well in each other work. So these are the most important things that I've realized.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yes, Winnie.
Also, another thing I've realized that is working is once in a while for funders to come on ground and see the work done, other than waiting for work as in just reports once in a while. For example, if you are funding many people in a community and you organize once in a while, not virtual but physical meetings, we have a lot to share on ground. There are things we cannot explain, but we can show up, and maybe somewhere, somehow it can help another organization. So coming together as funders and the fellow organizations has also helped. And in another way it is helping is also bridging the gap. We might not, funding might stop at a certain time, but when we have, for example, if UNDOS is under your funding and YESA is also under the funding, and we come together that togetherness, share, and still on after visiting the sites. And we experience more about that. We really appreciate that. Another thing I've seen on our side that is working is also these virtual meetings that are hosted. Sometimes we might take them, it's just a what, how should I put it? Like, for example, when I was working with on the EcoSun project, I think we used to have monthly meetings. It's where we use, where I got the confidence that every time I could report on the work done, where we have failed, what we can, and then I could get feedback. So these meetings that are also virtual are also helping to seek feedback, to change on where we are going wrong, and then at the end we are seeing success in our work that we are implementing with the funders. Thank you.
Thank you, very helpful. Francis.
Yes, in addition to that, I find that because for us who have done it, organizations, local organizations, doing almost similar things, but in different areas, come together and form a consortium. Now, this consortium helps these organizations to help each other, to share knowledge. Now, for example, we have been saying reporting. If you might find that one organization is very good at reporting and the other one is not good. So if they are doing a project, a joint project, they can help each other and do the best in the best way the donor wants it. Also, it helps the donors, the international donors, to work with a group, not small individuals. So that one has worked for us. We have a consortium of 5 organizations, and you find that when we are reporting, we make individual reports, then we combine and help each other, and we share knowledge. So that one also can work with these groups or with these organizations that have the similar work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, this is also an important point.
I have
yes, Celia?
questions to Winnie and Francis. First of all, Winnie, you said that those monthly meetings where they gave you feedback, that it really helped you. And I mean, that's a great example. But before that, we talked about how possibly feedback from the outside might not really match with what you're actually doing. So what do you think has helped that they understand what you're really doing in order to give you accurate feedback on what is needed in your refugee settlement, in your context, in your environment? What needs to happen to have them understand you? Is there anything you can share?
Thanks. To me, yes, they said sometimes they are unrealistic goals, but through seeking feedback and having these several meetings, if you're open enough, there are things you bring out and they resonate with the funder or the one who is who is supervising you, and somewhere somehow you can change. For example, I remember with EcoSun, we had set unrealistic goals, and thanks to Tina that whenever I could share that now we have a change in prices, change in this, she could understand. I couldn't take everything like negative because she's my spirit, but then we could come to a consent, we could come to an agreement that, okay, we are reducing on this, but then we are adding on this. So if you open enough, I think it can also work.
Okay, thank you very much, Winnie. And then towards you, Francis, what you have been saying on the consortium, which would basically be bringing together GROs also, but do you also see external actors being involved in such a consortium? And if, what kind of external actors do you see within that? And why do you think that a consortium would help in institutionalizing, in standardization? If you can give a little bit more detail.
As I said, you find that dealing with individual organizations might be a bit tasking for the donor.
Mm.
For instance, receiving if you have 7 organizations, small organizations, that they all bring their applications.
Mm.
And now dealing with those individual applications with the details, it becomes tiresome. But if these individual organizations combined their proposal into one, so somebody.
I think it's the mic is off, so you can continue, Francis.
So when you combine the proposal and send it, then the donor will deal with that individual proposal, and then when the money comes in a lump sum and then distributed among the organizations. That one lessen the work. Secondly, also monitoring. For example, like we are talking of M&E, if you have the same monitoring tool, you can use the same and then report. And that one will give a perfect impact assessment from the whole project. Another thing, some of the donors nowadays, they don't want to deal with individual organizations. They like organizations which are working together. Some, not all, some of them. They want organizations which are working together. It is easier to deal with them rather than dealing with individual organizations. Because if one is weak, the other stronger one can help, and you find that the project is successful. But if they are individuals, you find the other one failed, the other one managed to go through. So you find that even the donor loses the courage to continue working with you. Yes. I don't know whether I've answered your question.
No, it did. Thank you. It's more understandable now. I'm actually now wondering a little bit about the second question that we had on the working together with governmental bodies and how this has challenged you, but also what has been beneficial during those workings with not just the governmental bodies, but also the formalities that they have, the requirements that they have. I mean, we're talking here about the Office of the Prime Minister, about registration, all those things. What would you say in your experience has been challenging there?
Yeah, I think it's for us as a refugee-led organization, it's a lot of bureaucracy, which of course delay things. For example, I will say we have been able to want to register UNIDOS as an NGO. Gets a certificate as an NGO. and submitted the document since February. But until now, they always tell us, come next week, come at the end of this month. I don't understand what's all. We have already submitted all the requirements, all the documents that they asked, and keep on delaying. So we are now in August, and the year is now ending, and there is nothing that is happening. So imagine if there was no any other alternative, mean that all the activity there is nothing that we could implement during this year because there will no funds. So it's quite really a big bureaucracy system, which is quite slow. I don't know if it's only for refugee-led organization, but I'm curious also, Francis or Winnie, if you have faced the same challenge. The same also for the Office of the Prime Minister. So there is there is no any supports. So or a close collaboration in terms of when you want to compile with the reports frame that they have been setting up. So it's either you submit your respects, or if you don't know how to do it, it's your business. So you need to find a way to make sure that this you respect the procedure that they are put in place. So sometimes it's really anxious dealing with all this. Yeah.
Before we turn to Winnie and Francis on how bureaucracy has turned out for non-refugee-led organizations, from the OPM side, a question to you, Paulinho. When there is no support, but they want to receive all those formalities and make for them internally sure that everything works, is there sometimes a check on what you're doing? Do they kind of want to visit you or walk around, see what you're doing?
Yeah, of course. And even yesterday we have been the Seton commanders. We have been with the Seton commanders around all our demonstration sites, seeing the work that we have been doing. And yeah, he has been really impressed with what we have been doing.
Okay.
And maybe this will change the point of view of how they are seeing us.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Then maybe we turn to Winnie. Francis.
Can I start?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Now here in Uganda, we have only two problems when it comes to dealing with the government. One is corruption. Second one is politics. So you find that when one wants to register an NGO or to renew the working permit, the first thing which comes into their mind is politics. That maybe this person, some money will pass through this organization and goes to the opponents. Secondly, when you are going to renew or to register, those in office will think that you are going to receive a lot of money. So you have to share it with us. That is the fact in Uganda. For example, to renew, you have to start from the sub-county, from LC1, sub-county, district, go to line ministry, and then to the NGO board. Now you find all those offices, they are corrupt people inside there. You cannot avoid them. So that one makes our work very, very difficult. You find that if you were to renew, you can spend like 2 million just renewing your working permit. So it is a challenge we face, and that is our country. There is nothing we can do. We can do away with it. It is where we are. These are our leaders. We have to face it. Nowadays, they put requirements, 21 requirements from around 9 before. There are 21 requirements. You get this letter, you get this letter, you get that, you get that recommendation. Now, getting that recommendation means you have to pay. If you leave it there, you will wait until your permit expires. And when it expires, they require you to pay 2 million every month. 2 million every month if your permit expires. So you find that those are the main challenges when we are dealing with the government bodies. And the leaders, maybe the top leaders might be not knowing that down there in their offices, the workers there, they are not good, they are corrupt. That is it. Thank you.
I have one follow-up question to that before I would like to ask Vinny. Or you're saying corruption is a big problem, and you basically need to pay in order to get what you want for your for the registration of your organization. Is there anything that they like to see in order for the sum to decrease? Like, what are arguments that you can bring about towards those governmental bodies that put you in a more favorable position and not susceptible or not so much susceptible to corruption?
You will find that, for example, at the district level, there is a committee monitoring NGOs. That committee, before they give you a recommendation, they have to visit your place and see what you are doing in the community. But funny enough, they will tell you that they don't have transport to go to your place. And there you are. You want them to come and inspect your work.
Yeah.
But they are telling you they don't have transport. That means you have to transport them. If they are 10, if you are 5, you find the means of transport to take them around. But even if you have done that one, it is not enough. It is not enough. Still, the person doing the real work will need some to help you to get the work very quickly. So that is it. They come, but they say, our man has not come to provide us transport to your place. So if you can wait until we get the money, then come. That one means if your permit is going to expire, then it will expire before they get the money to come to your place. Yeah, that is the challenge. If it was that they have to come and inspect and that is all, they will give you what you want without asking anything. But even if they come, but even coming to your place, you have to facilitate them. They will say, you facilitate us to come to your place.
Okay, thank you, Francis. Winnie, would you like to share anything on challenges with registration, renewing, all this bureaucracy?
Much has been said, so I will not I will not look at that. But to me, actually, it's about like the OPM, how it is becoming a challenge somehow when we are going to implement is in the times of implementation. Before implementation, you're submitting your proposal and they have to know where you're going to implement, what you're going to do, and what and what and what. But then sometimes you're given places that are not fitting your project. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Winnie, we can hear you.
Are you getting me?
Yep.
Okay. So I was saying sometimes you're given places of implementation of work that are not fitting your project. For instance, it's like now for us that are doing regenerative farming, we are so much asked to work with new arrivals, those that have been resettled. But it's a challenge to us somehow that sometimes those people are not yet fully settled. And we find it a challenge that after, for example, these new people from Kong, you find you've worked with them 6 months, and after that, they are going and they have cleared the gardens. By the time you have to report, you have nothing to report on because those that you have started working with have already gone. So sometimes it's a challenge, and most of the times it's them to decide where you have to work from. And that brings a challenge to the organization and maybe to the funder. Like sometimes you're taken as someone who didn't fully implement the project, or you did not reach the set target numbers. To me, it has been a challenge. And for them, they believe they are the most vulnerable. But to us, if they can give us at least percentages, that would have worked. And they're like, you have to have this percentage to the new arrivals, and then another percentage to those that have been there for quite some time. And just as they did with the nationals, they are having a percentage. You're working with 20% the nationals within the settlement, and then the other percentage is for refugees. That is clear, but to us, most of the times we are sent to new places where people have not yet even forgot about the trauma they've gone through from their home countries to there. And sometimes they have been resettled for just a few months and they change their minds to going back to their home countries. You find no work done. Some have cleared the gardens and now they are looking at something else. That has been the biggest challenge I've got with that office. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinny. Maybe we can go into something that has been said in the chat now by Francis and Paulinho. Can you tell us a little bit about this partnership program? What is that? What is it aiming for? Is it resolving your issues?
So
Okay, thank you so much, members. I greet you. My name is Alemiga Francis, and I'm from Arua, particularly from the northern region. I want to. They shared with me a new engagement invitation letter, which was this Monday, and maybe where probably I would have shared here, but only that on my system I cannot be able to share directly on this. So maybe unless somebody requires their own email, I could send, because they said, greetings from the office of the Prime Minister. You are receiving this communication because you are either currently engaged, over-engaged, or have expressed interest in participating in Uganda refugee response. Please find attached a letter from the Permanent Secretary, Office of the Prime Minister, addressing to the institutions intending to partner with the Office of the Prime Minister. kindly review the context for your information or action where necessary, or inform those concerned within your institution or organization. So that is the headline. There's an attachment they have put where all those requirements that somebody who wishes to be part of this project or the partnership engagement, they have attached, and all the requirements that they would want to have. As a former speaker said, it is a long process of verification. If it's your first time engagement to be in the system or in their operation, it takes a lot of things from the district where you are supposed to first register. After registering, you go with this to the NGO where you register, and all these attachments, when you are applying, you are supposed to have them before the official give you their documents, and it takes a lot of process. And if one has not been able to be through, if you are somebody who say no, I cannot be able to do all this, then you end up giving up. And what I also want to say is some of these challenges happen because of the stages in which we involve the type of stakeholders we engage when we are doing our planning, when we are doing consultation, when we are doing sharing. So if in your planning processes or stakeholder engagements, if you do not give chance for such people to come and be with you, to come and witness other things you do, and maybe in the implementation areas, for example, sometimes you find there are projects that are implemented by organizations who come and implement this in another districts, and where they have not previously been known, their works has not been previously known. So when such an organization comes to go to implement in another district, but not where they have been operating, so there have been a lot of scamming issues that have been happening on ground. There are other organizations that have been called the briefcase organizations. You find the organization does not have an office, a reference office in where he wants to go and operate, but when he comes on ground, he wants to go direct to the field where he's going to start doing these activities. So when the OPM gets involved, it becomes very hard for such an organization to be supported, because one, the organization does not have yet a grassroots engagement at that level. Then two, its activities have not been known by the community, so a lot of suspicion happens. So I think one of the things that needs to be done is a proper stakeholder engagement. Even if you are coming to a district, you need to involve the necessary areas where these people are involved, so that you have a little meeting with them, they understand. And most of these days, as my other namesake said, Francis said, there's a lot of press, because people expect that you are going to receive a lot of money. But normally what they do is for you to be at the safer side, when you engage them at the induction stage, and you are able to declare to them the budget line. This is the budget that this is the intended budget that we are planning to do, or I'm preparing this so that at the end of the day, this is likely how I will be getting some funding. So they will be able to know that this is what is going to do. So if I remember when we were engaging on the BDBD refugee settlement and the Reno camp, yes, we didn't have much money, but we said we have our capital is in form of skills that we have, because as yesterday, we basically do skills development. And our intention of going there was only to do mindset change. And after the mindset change, then when we get access to funds, that's where we can go for the skills development, which will require more money. So they were basically giving us guidance on how do we be able to do. Then two, in institutions where you are not able to do it alone, it is sometimes advisable you get other stakeholders who have been operating already there, other organizations that have been doing. So you go through them in that process, but you need to follow the code of conduct that OPM expects from every organization that is trying to implement in the field. So when you're able to observe some of those, then at the end of the day, terms might be easier when you are getting involved with them. So that was basically what I wanted to say. But those who will want to get that attachment, the requirements that they have just called for partnership, maybe I'll share my email, then I see how to share with them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alamikia. Francis, Paulinho shared the attachment in the chat. Thank you very much for that. I was wondering if Yannick Fasibufol can add on what has been said before, because as a new organization with Manut, you are just building up these relationships with the local authorities, OPM and others. Here it is. Thank you, Francis. Yes, Yannick,
thank you.
What has been your experience?
Thank you for giving me the word. But what so I don't know what to say, but only thing that I know is, yes, you can never operate without consulting local leaders, especially OPM, and it requires some funds to visit you from the district, the standard settlement and others, but I'm not much informed on how they work. Yeah, that is, but I'm still learning from others, like what Francis said, Paulinho, and others. Yeah, for me, I'm just learning. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, for example, for the permaculture training, you organized that all the local leaders and also from the region would come to celebrate in the end also the ones who have finished the permaculture training. So really showing the success to the community is key. Yeah.
Yes, and be clear for getting contact only with one of the settlement commanders or local leaders, it requires some funds, and they can never help you without giving them something. And perhaps it is a corruption, and if it is their ways to work, so okay, I don't know, but that is all what I know. For them to assist you, it requires something. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. We would like to round up to add on the things that said. I think it would be now the time to add whatever comes to your mind for both questions. So for international organizations, collaborations, and also for governmental bodies. One thing that came to my mind, for example, as Generation Restoration is an international organization, but also relatively new to the field. What helps us a lot is to know what you or what GROs can share that they have already done. For example, in order to not build double structures or reporting frameworks, etc., it's always helpful to see, okay, if you, for example, have already reported things to OPM or to other organizations, if you're allowed to share these with us, we can also then build from that with you together to build a reporting framework for the actual cooperation agreement, so that we do not reinvent the wheel, but build on what has been done so far already. Sometimes there might be, I don't know, between Western organizations or funders, this notion of we do not want to share this, or we have our own frameworks. But I think it's worthwhile to ask if it's possible to share, to be transparent about it. For generation restoration, we work in this, let's say, modules or this state of transparency, and are very open to
Yes.
also take the frameworks that are already there and build upon these ones. Yes. Yannick? You want to add something? Nope. This is also why I asked.
To be transparent and clear, the way, yes, we are moving forward, manure and restoration generation, there is no problem, because your framework, it's okay, and yes, we are progressing, good, yes, yeah. If for other organization, if they do, and they perhaps, but for the manure, yes, we saw that, yes, we are moving okay. And there is no problem in the way we are working.
Thank you. Yes. So, for example, if we develop a framework for impact assessment of, let's say, compost toilets, this is also, yeah, it's important to be open from both sides, right? To actually suggest things. What about this indicator, or what about measuring this? Is it easy or hard to report this for you? It's important to talk about it and then set it together. As, for example, yeah, James, you might add some of the points that you considered when you built a framework for the compost toilet impact assessment, right? Because you added also the question, is it rather hard or easy to get data on this monitoring point? Would you like to add something on that? I mute myself.
Okay. So yes, just like you're saying, we in trying to construct the framework. Please, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So in trying to construct a framework, we looked at some of the KPIs. We thought that some of them would be very difficult to collect. For example, the number of people. I mean, this is regarding the compost toilets. the number of people who use the toilets in a day. I mean, you cannot have, it will be very difficult to collect that data in 24 hours. For example, 12 midnight, how would you know if someone or whoever went to the toilet at 12 midnight? That's very difficult to get. Yes, there may be a logbook there for everyone to go there, but we are humans and people can be very funny sometimes. Someone could just go there and ignore what they want to write. So um, that is just an example. There are other indicators that we looked at and we thought that this would be easy to collect, wouldn't be easy to collect. And so these are some of the things that we would want to speak to the GROs, because you are there and you know the people very well. So you can be able to tell us that, oh, this one we think that if we do it this way, it would help and it would make it easier to collect that particular data. And so I particularly like the approach of Gen just like Francis mentioned. It's very collaborative and which is the essence of all that we are doing. And so yes, I completely agree with Francis. Thank you.
Thank you, James. I'll hand it back to Celia. You're still muted?
It happened to me already before in this roundtable. Should learn about it. So yeah, to be mindful of your time, I would like to slowly wrap it up. But to kind of sum up what we've been talking about before I turn back towards the slides. Basically, first of all, to the question about collaboration with NGOs and international organizations, we've talked a little bit about the grant period. We talked about impact assessment alignment. We talked about small organizations, big organizations, and the visibility key factor that those organizations might enable, and also communication, that monthly meetings might be very fruitful, and also turned on consortiums and monitoring and evaluation. Within the question of collaboration with governmental bodies, we quickly came across the issue of bureaucracy. The OPM as, so to say, no support body in that regard. And then basically in the overall more external meta levels, corruption, politics, and from there on, we dive deeper into all those little requirements that you need to fulfill, the visits that you need to allow, that you also need to fund by yourselves with resources. And then we came about this new partnership program that I think will be interesting to know a little bit more about, but it also makes us aware that we as kind of a partner to you, we don't want to come up with something new when you already have to align with something that is given by your government. So I think their communication needs to be always on, and so to make sure that we can adhere to but also move forward effectively. I will just quickly share 2 last slides, and then you'll all be allowed to go on your endeavors. Okay, it should be shared now. Just to give you the outlook for what's about to come. We basically talked about the 2 questions together now in this small but, in my opinion, very fruitful round of discussion. We have put those questions into 2 documents where it's also a little bit more dissected. And some of you already know how we go about working groups. We will share a Google Doc in a follow-up email, also to the ones that might watch this video afterwards and have also registered for participation. And you can work on this until about the 1st of November. So we can also look over it and condense it for our roundtable on the 14th. And you can already, start putting your thoughts into that and also register for the roundtable with the QR code. But I will put this all also into the email and you will hear from us. Yeah. And then furthermore, if you want to keep in touch while we're together, now the slide is not changing. Well, you can find us on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and genr.world. And if you have any questions, you have our email addresses. Yeah, we thank you very much for coming and participating and being so open about everything. And yeah, thank you very much from my side.
Yes, thank you so much for the fruitful discussion and your input. And yes, we officially end this roundtable here and leave the discussion open for anyone who wants to add something or connect afterwards. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for organizing the roundtable. And we are happy to share ideas and learn from each other.
Thank you, Francis.
Thank you.
And Alamegia, Francis, you also raised your hand.
Okay, thank you so much. I basically wanted to talk about the currently in the operations. There's a lot of ongoing campaigns about localization agenda. Under the localization agenda, where you find when organization, let me say an international organization, when they are coming to implement activities under the local initiatives. So what they are supposed to do, they could identify these local NGOs in which they are able to come together, they work through them. So when we are talking about reporting structures, so meaning if a generation would come up with identify these initiatives, then these initiatives, if they are operating within a certain scale, then they use those scales. Or when they want to go up to the grassroots level, they could identify other CBOs, community-based organizations, which are registered at that level. Then they use those people to come and do activities through them. So when you are doing the reporting processes, that means you begin from that direct beneficiary, it comes to the implementing group, then from the implementing group, it now goes to the international NGOs. So that has been also some concerns that have been happening. Particularly, I want to give an example. We have been implementing a high incubator program under Team Spirit International, where they came together and they first identified the CBOs, and these CBOs were taken through training, and after the training they were given the implementation schedule. After doing all this, so we would have our monthly meeting in which all activities are reported through a common portfolio, where they're able to monitor from afar and see that this is what is happening in the activities. And then when they are doing their monitoring, they also attach other people they feel they could use to do this monitoring to find out what is going on. So in the reporting structures, we can have different models that can be adapted to see that, yes, this is something achievable and it has an impact on ground and things are certain. So otherwise, I'm privileged to be part of today, and I thank you all for the insights that you have shared.
Thank you.
Thank you. So did you say that the reporting meetings were kind of many CBOs together for the one donor, or many donors together, or how was it structured?
Like we have, okay, let me give this example where we use the Team Spirit International structure model. They identified around 10 CBOs These are different from different refugee areas where they were implementing one project. But at the end of the day, these people they give their accountability at organizational level, where at the end of the day, they compile the overall to form up one big report. Then after we finish this, currently as we talk, we are at a point of building now a consortium for all the CBOs that were able to work out, because under the consortium there's more power of mobile, there's more power because different CBOs or different NGOs, different companies are coming together to see that their voices are heard. So when they also go to this OPM, they find it much easier for them to get being heard, because there are different people who are coming together, meaning the impact there to be is also greater. So it now depends on the model that we want to adapt that can best work for this.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
Okay.
So building consortiums is, yeah, it's one of the key outcomes of this meeting also. Perfect. Okay, thank you very much. And yeah, you'll hear from us via email, also with the working documents, and we really invite you to add on these, to co-work on it, and see you next time. Have a good day.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.